What piece of music would you like to hear for the beginning? This one? Maybe this one. How about this one?
I don't know that one. Okay.
How about this one? You don't have a hand dance or something?
I don't.
What's going on? Compound Coalition here with Evan from Radio Made Easy. Part Trey. You know Trey, it's like your Trey Deuce when you got your little 32.
Yeah. I'll try not to mumble this time.
I didn't hear you mumble last time. Did I say you mumbled?
No, but listening to it, it was a little soft.
People seem to like the mumble rap, though.
Okay, that's true.
You gonna get any face tattoos? You got sweet face tattoos under that beard?
Oh, thank God.
None?
I'm not a fan of. I do have some tattoos, but
I heard some refer to you as the painted man.
Yeah, I keep it all concealed only for.
We're gonna skate to one song and one song only. So what's going on? Why are you in town here? What's going on?
I just stopped to say hey, but I got stuff going on in the area. I've got an install to do for another tactical response alumni who's got a homestead. Going to put a big tower up at his house tomorrow and visiting some friends. And then I'm speaking at the Dixon County Homesteaders Alliance, which sounds like an army.
I'm coming out to that.
Cool. So just going to tell them about comms, introduce all these unwashed masses.
That's Gorham, right?
Yep, Dawn.
Yeah, Dawn.
So they invited me out, and I thought I had stuff to do in the area. So.
Yeah, I think John Witherspoon put that bug.
Yeah, I think so. I have a lot of people doing that. It's incredible. So.
Right, because
thank you guys.
All of those people have radios.
Yep.
But the people they want to talk to don't have radios, right?
Yep.
And inherently, we know what we should do, and we're really good about. We're just, everybody's busy, right? And you can get this instant gratification or this, we can check the box for $35 and I've got my radio.
Yep.
We've never turned it on. Like I said, I've got 12 radios in here.
Yeah, the good luck charm radio.
Yeah. And because we feel accomplishment, right? We can have a little alcohol. We can get in bed by 10:30. We can sit on Amazon and 20 things will show up at the door in 5 days.
That's true. A little dopamine hit.
That's exactly right. Yep. So
I fall victim to the same crap. I've got piles of hobbies that I haven't yet.
I'm with you. I have buildings full of it, right? I mean, look over there. It's full of shit.
My lock picking kit that I haven't opened yet. Yeah.
You just need a little guy. You can keep him in a backpack. He'll jump out like a trunk monkey.
Okay. What do you mean? What would he do?
I don't know. I picture a lock picking guy as a small Asian person.
Yeah. Well, because they're down at the level of the lock.
Yeah, I mean, you can just you can
don't
keep
have
them in your
back
backpack.
Pain.
Yeah,
Perfect.
or a small child. But children, I don't think children they probably frown if you got caught with an Asian dude with a lockpick set.
Right.
They wouldn't frown on you as much as a child with a lockpick set, right? Because then they try to get you for what's that charge? No, like corruption of a minor. They call it something else.
Man, we gotta watch out for that one.
Delinquency of a minor. Okay. Contributing to the delinquency of a minor. That's it.
That's a real charge?
I don't know. It used to be, I think.
Wow.
I remember seeing it on, I don't know, Happy Days or something.
Wow. I got to watch out for that.
Did you ever have a black and white television?
No. My grandparents did.
We had one, but I think that we were just poor. I think color TVs were around.
Okay.
We just didn't have one.
I had the rotary knobs.
We had those, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And the front of the glass was rounded.
So I have my dad's original black and white TV. He sold Beagles for a summer.
Beagles? That's a brand of television?
No, Beagle dogs.
He sold Beagle dogs?
Right, he bred them and sold them.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like
a TV.
Like selling Corningware or something, door to door, Cutco.
No, he sold Beagle dogs and bought his first TV. And when I was growing up, my grandparents had his playhouse, which was just a shack that my grandpa had built him, and it was in there. And I rescued it before they tore it down, and I've got it in my office.
That's cool. So I heard something I had not heard. You were run over while you were on a motorcycle?
No, I wasn't run over. I was hit.
Hit?
Yeah.
You were riding. So how did that happen?
So I told you last time I lived in Nicaragua for a while as a missionary.
Shit.
So when I got home from living there, it's totally radically different than here, right? So I'm
would you do it again?
Not now.
Okay.
But back, I wouldn't change what I did, but I'm not going to violent overthrowing of government places on purpose right now.
No, I mean, you're about to be in one yourself.
Right. It'll come to me, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to it. But, yeah, I'd love to drop a pallet of AKs off over there.
I think that they should just drop them off around the United States.
Sure. Yeah, so I lived there and came home, and I'm like fish out of water because I'm back in the land of the free, and everything's abundant. The roads are smooth. People speak English. I feel really weird and kind of depressed. And I was telling Jonathan, who was run over, which is insane, I was relating to him a little bit because I feel like it gave me purpose because I felt protected.
Were you injured?
No, so I was stopped on the road I grew up on to turn left into our driveway. So I'm sitting there with my blinker on, 45-mile-an-hour speed limit road that people run 60 on. And there was a surveying crew on the right-hand side of the road. And I think the girl behind me, she was probably half a mile behind me when I stopped. But by the time she made it to me, saw the survey crew, then turns to look at me, locks the brakes up.
Shit.
And all I hear is screeching. And I'm looking like, what is that? And then boom. And I had my hand on the front brake, so my bike just came up. It was a 2007 Suzuki Bandit 1250, so big old naked sport bike. And it just came up like an inch and sat back down.
Oh, shit.
And I looked down, and the bumper had stopped. Her bumper had stopped an inch behind my left ankle. Wow. And I was telling him my passenger foot peg was down, and it broke that off. I found it later, and I've never ridden a passenger. So I was like, why is that down? That feels like this divine protection. And it gave me a boost. I felt really, I've got pictures of it. I kept the little foot peg. I sold the bike, but.
Did it damage her vehicle?
Yeah, I mean, she got bumper damage, and I got a bunch of insurance money, and I'm sure they were glad to pay it because I wasn't dead or.
Yeah. When I was in high school, the high school set by a 4-way intersection, and a man on a motorcycle was running. He had the right of way, and a Isuzu pup or some kind of like little Isuzu truck ran the light, and the motorcycle T-boned the truck, and knocked the truck over.
Oh my gosh! That small?
Yeah, I think it was like a Aspen Cade or some kind of big motorcycle, but it knocked that truck upside down. And wow. I don't remember.
And the guy probably went 100 yards.
Man, I feel like the dude walked away from it.
That's insane.
I don't remember. Wild. So
people don't see motorcycles. So public service announcement, like.
And it's so much worse now, right? I mean, I've even been guilty of it. I don't really drive much anymore, and when I do, I just have something on Bluetooth, so I intentionally don't pick this up because it is so easy now.
Absolutely.
Like you said, she looked at the road crew, looked up, and like, oh shit, what is that deer in front of me or whatever?
It's one of my value props for radio. Not to be ridiculous, but you don't have to look away. Pick it up, talk, set it down. Don't take your eyes off the road. So if you're in a car like a convoy. And I don't mean a military convoy, like you're on a road trip with 2 other families, talk, we got to pull over.
Convoy, like when we go to Memphis, you always take 3 trucks.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So how's business?
Business is a booming.
How much more can you go?
No breaks.
That's a fucking great answer.
I don't want any breaks.
Anything big going on?
Yeah, we dropped the, we didn't. Wrangler Star dropped his
I don't think
his bomb on me yesterday, so I sent him a care package from heaven of SOE and Radio Made Easy and Defiant Munitions, and he opened it on a live stream without any consultation from me other than my little letter I sent explaining it. He hadn't even opened it, so he opened it live. Took an hour and a half. So
I watched it. I knew for some reason, Wrangler Star's notifications are the ones that work the best for me. Maybe it's just because he's so big.
Yeah.
But I get a notification, like, he goes live, and my phone's like, hey, look at this.
Yeah. No.
So I'm watching it.
Unsubscribing going on there.
I'm watching it, and I can't tell if it's live or not. And then I see that I have some text messages, and they're like, hey, just a heads up, so-and-so is about to go live. And, or no, he said, hey, Cody's live. We didn't know he was about to go live. Yeah. And I'm watching it, and Amanda's watching it, and he's like, okay, we're only going to drop 500 of these. I'm like, 500? I'm on the other side of the shop. I go, did you hear what he just said? I'm like, you go, Evan. Awesome.
I wasn't even able to listen. I was pulling into a meeting when he went live. I saw it was me, lost my mind and went into my meeting that had nothing to do with it and thought about it the whole time.
Was the meeting good?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, we brokered a little collaboration. Jody and I were helping our Prepared Patriot buddies get in with a big gun store in the mountains.
Nice.
So they're going to provide training for them, possibly. So it was a good meeting.
I've been to a knife store in the mountains.
It might be that one.
I've not been to the gun store in the mountains.
Oh, you're talking about Smoky Mountain Knife?
Yeah.
It's the other side of the mountains,
God,
North Carolina.
I really like the mountains.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I love that Pigeon Forge and all that area over there.
This is Wilkesboro, so
nice.
It's the opposite side, but they are the biggest Winkler distributor.
Winkler knives? Winkler knives?
Yeah.
Cool.
Who's like Jack Carr Special Forces.
Got it, okay.
Yep. The Tomahawks.
I built gear for Jack.
Okay, yeah.
He came to my mom's garage.
Oh, before he was Jack Carr.
Yeah, when he used his other name.
Okay.
Yeah, if you look on
I assumed it wasn't who he is.
Yeah, if you look on his Instagram, there's quite a few pictures actually of SOE kit that look very much like Jeff's, like Scully's kit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they Winkler is in Boone, North Carolina, and they're the biggest distributor for him. I built their website, Ridge Runner Blades.
Oh, nice. I know those guys. Yeah, the two brothers. Is it two brothers?
I don't think so.
There's two brothers that work for the largest knife distribution.
You're talking about Edget.
Okay.
They're Michigan. They were here at SRF.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Twin.
Yeah, he's doing like some nylon gear and stuff.
Yeah, they're good dudes.
I like
they
that
bought
guy.
From me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Michigan. This is just a guy, you wouldn't know him. He doesn't put his name out there, but the brand is Ridge Runner. It's a Ridge Runner as in moonshine runners on the ridge.
Okay, even better.
Yeah, so Zane did their logo, and so good guys. It's the biggest e-commerce site I've ever done, 10,000 SKUs.
How do you put those in there?
A lot of automation and scripting and
what's that called when I want to take all my stuff from one site and
import export?
Yeah.
But we had to translate. Like Benchmade sends me a big file of what their pricing is, SKUs, names. Translate that into the right format. Attach the photos. That's hard.
What should it cost to build a website like that?
We charged up front like a flat rate to build the shell, the functionality, and then hourly to load the data.
So wild ass guess when it was all said and done.
10-15 grand.
In today's money?
3 or 4 ago, before COVID money.
Yeah.
So, but it could be done for that.
I feel like I need something in addition to what I have.
I wanted to talk to you about some ideas there.
Yeah.
I think we need to build our what did the guy call Atlas Shrugged on the live feed the other day? Apple Orchard or Apple?
Oh yeah, what did he call it?
Apple Shrub.
Yeah.
I was gonna use code name Apple Shrub.
I'm like, what the fuck is he talking about? Skunkworks.
Yeah. Now that would be cool to I got some ideas for you on.
We're not doing it in that bullshit WordPress stuff though.
Yeah, that's what you gotta do.
But then I'll
just do it.
Oh.
You don't have to do it.
All right, so new product?
Yeah. I'm not sure what you mean.
Do you have any new products?
Yeah. I built a little ultimate adapter kit in an Altoids tin that's minty fresh.
So it's like it's like a USB plug for everything kind of thing.
Kinda,
for radios.
Yeah. So like I universalize on a connector called BNC. It's
familiar.
I make everything adapted to BNC for various reasons.
It stands for big nut cock.
Yeah, that's the number one reason is that. And then the quarter turn to get it on and off, slightly less important than big nut cock. But,
what does it actually stand for?
I have no clue.
We'll go with big nut cock.
Yep. And then it's quarter turn, and you can't bend the pin inside of it as easily as you can with the other adapter. So I adapt everything to that, but that creates this whole mess of problems. When you get something and you need to connect it to your thing, you always need an adapter. It's never going to be right. Inevitably, you buy an antenna, it's the wrong thing. You buy a coax, it's the wrong thing. So I built a kit that will solve every problem. So that was kind of cool. It's a fun little project. I sold the crap out of them, too.
You sound like a problem solver.
That's me.
I have another problem that you can solve and probably make some money off of.
All right.
IBC totes.
Mm-hmm.
They have that valve at the bottom and this connector thing, right?
Yep.
And homesteaders, they all want to attach it and put a garden hose thing on there.
Yep.
Well, there's 120 different pieces, and inevitably you take your thing to Tractor Supply, and they always have a way to do it. But instead of just having the one piece you need, you've got to put together 4 or 5 other pieces.
Yep. It's always a 2-inch Fernco with a, what do they call that, a bushing, and then a hose bib.
So there's people selling those things, but
just a kit.
You should sell those things.
Yeah, so IBC totes made easy, or what do you think?
Yeah, but I would still just even put it on your website.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a one-stop upsell. Hey.
Yeah, and it's that way is universal because it's that Fernco.
All you radio guys, you'll die without water.
That's true. It's true. Food, water, shelter, comms. So
in that order.
I don't know. Sounds good to me.
3s, man. 3 seconds, 3 minutes, 3 hours.
Yeah.
3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months.
Yeah, that's I have 1,000 ideas like that, so I'll put that on the list.
But I think this would be an easy one. Where does a man source? How many pieces are in that thing?
3.
Oh, there's only 3 in the Altoids thing.
No, in the Altoids thing, there's 8 connectors inside of it.
Yeah, it looked like a lot.
Plus 1 tin and 1 Ranger band.
What's the hardest thing to source? The tin?
No, I actually bought 300 of those 10 years ago to build emergency candles for Christmas gifts. I bought a lot.
That's awesome.
On eBay, and I was making candles out of them.
Are they actually stamped out? They have the Altoid shit on them and everything?
They are used Altoid tins. Somebody just sold them on eBay
so
for
some
$5.
Dude ate 300 tins of Altoids?
I guess it's like a lifetime collection. So no one wanted them. I bought them, and I've had them in a drawer and moved them to 4 houses.
It's like Pez are big. If you look, like there's a lot of Pez collectors, yeah.
I bought them, and I was like, I was cleaning up because we're about to move, and I was like, I need to do something with those. Let's make a kit. So I've got like 6 left.
You sold 300 of those things?
I sold a lot. I don't know if it's at 300, probably 150.
On that one post that day?
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome. What did that thing cost? Not you. What did it sell for?
$40.
That's awesome. I'll bet dudes bought them.
You can't build it for that. I buy everything in volume. You can't make one for that.
I'll bet guys bought those that don't even have a radio.
I know several that did, because I'm like, you don't even have one yet. You've been talking to me about a radio. Why'd you buy that first?
Yep. Limited edition. Yeah. You should have like put a Radio Made Easy sticker on the top that was like multicam or something.
I'm going to keep running it, and I'm going to get black ones and brand them.
So are you familiar, do you know the Wetsu?
No.
We eat this shit up is what it stands for. There was a dude named Russ Kalkman. He's still out there. He's an alumni.
Okay.
And he taught the Wetsu survival class. So everybody, when the shop was in the old building that I've got up the road, the red roof barn building, Wetsu's going to do this cold weather survival class. So I'm like, okay, who wants to go? So Cody, my son, who was 9, 10 maybe at the time, maybe 11. So he's going to go. There's a couple other dudes going. And all the classes, TAC response classes were there in that building. That's where the gear shop was.
Okay.
So it's cold out, right? It's supposed to snow and sleet that weekend. It's Friday. And Russ is like, okay, everybody go get all your stuff for the weekend. Let's make sure you got what you need. So everybody goes to the car and gets all their shit. He's like, okay, you're not taking none of that shit. It's all staying here. You get to take what's in your pockets.
Oh, man.
You don't get to add anything.
Bait and switch.
And they ran off of these survival kits called the Wetsu Survival Kit. Everything's in an Altoid can.
Okay.
So they go out there, and I went out there. They stayed out there Friday night. I went out there Saturday. Nobody had froze to death. Dude, it was sleeting. Like Cody's rifle, his 10/22, was freezing shut. It was just humid. It was sleeting. There was moisture, and the fucking receiver would freeze shut. And the dude with him had a HK93, a 5.56 gun.
Okay.
And there's some fish in the pond, so they're shooting at the pond, right? Well, the shockwave knocks these fish senseless. Yeah. And they had done like shelter halves, dig-ins in the ground, rocks, fire over here. And I'm like, were you cold? He's like, not at all, man. I was hot like the whole time. And dude, it is sleeting. I'm like, I am miserable and cold standing out here. And they're cooking fish on sticks. And it was awesome. But Wetsu, Russ, I'll introduce you to him. He's a ham guy, radio guy.
Okay.
There's a whole crew. I don't remember where they're at. I feel like they're Ohio, maybe.
Okay.
Just good dudes.
Cool.
And the hardest thing he was sourcing out of that kit were those tins.
Really?
Yeah. There was some issue getting those tins at one
They're
point.
Everywhere.
Yeah, I'm sure with Alibaba and stuff now.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I didn't know that acronym.
Yeah, we eat this shit up.
Huh.
And that was his.
If they dug if they used them as shovels or something, how'd they dig out?
I don't know. Probably like
imagining
entrenching tools or e-tools or.
Okay.
But it was at the range.
Okay. I heard somebody that went to a class like that. Jerry Nuss's wife. What's her name?
I don't know.
Jahida, I think. No, that's her sister. Man, I hate that. Milagro. But she went to a bug out class, and another alumni came in loafers. He came in his business suit because they said come like you.
Because you're gonna bug out, and that's your walk home.
And he took it very literally, which is, if you're listening, you're that kind of guy.
If you're in a group of dudes and you don't know which one is that guy, you're that guy.
Yeah, and I heard that story a couple of weeks ago back at the live lab class we did, but that sounded interesting. I don't think it was the same class though. They didn't mention Altoids tin.
They had a surgeon that would fly in, and he drove a Bentley. It was a very nice car. It was the nicest car that had been on my parking lot at the time, and it had a white interior. And he would park it kind of like the store was here, and then I had the buildings up here before I had all of them.
Okay.
So he would kind of park right there and leave this thing here. And he came back at lunch, and it was covered in Camden red clay.
Right.
And then he went in, and I think they came back at lunch or whatever and did a second part of classroom for some. I don't know what class it was. But when I walked past to go to the shop and looked in there, it was full of Camden clay all over that carpet. He didn't put like mats or plastic or nothing. I guarantee whoever has that car today still has that Camden clay in that interior unless they replaced it. Yeah, it was crazy. And he didn't even give a shit. Like didn't blink an eye, man. He just treated that bitch like it was a lease.
Maybe it was.
I don't know.
I don't know what to make of that though.
Well, he has like heart surgeon money.
Yeah. Lots of that happening. I've never had a car that I would be deeply concerned about the interior, but I aspire to have one.
It's only recently that I had cars that had interior in them. Up until, I don't know, 10 years ago maybe, all my truck, that Suburban out there, I don't think it has carpet in it. Maybe it has carpet in it.
Really?
Maybe.
Yeah, I used to be a car guy, but I was redeemed from that, thank God.
I heard you were like a Smokey and the Bandit kind of car guy.
No.
No? Camaros?
I didn't like them. I just
worked there.
Yeah. Family business thing, but I like Corvettes, but I probably can't fit in one, and they turned them into some weird looking exotic car now. They're not a muscle car anymore, but
bite your tongue. That's a sexy car, man.
They're beautiful, but they're not a Corvette
anymore. You could get me in a Corvette. When I see those, I'm like, look at that. What Ferrari is that? It looks so European, man. We were in Bowling Green, I don't know, a month ago. Stopped at a gas station across from the Corvette factory there.
Oh, I didn't know there was.
And we were after hours. It had to be 6 o'clock, right after hours. Dude, semi-truck after semi-truck after semi-truck carrying those brand new Corvettes out of that place. Yeah, and they had just gotten off. They'd closed and got off work or whatever because the gas station next to, we were clearly at the wrong gas station because the one over there had a ton of them Corvettes. They are fucking loud, dude. Like somebody had some money in those cars.
They look like supercars now.
They do. They
don't look like muscle cars.
We went and we rented out the entire one of there's a couple tracks in Vegas that have all the supercars, and we rented one out for our people and closed the track down.
Okay.
Because I wanted to buy a Ferrari, and I thought that would be a good way. That's a terrible way to test drive a Ferrari.
Really?
Because you're with a driver who is constantly like, gas, more gas, brake, stand on the brake, shift, upshift, downshift, right?
He's micromanaging you the whole time.
Well, he's trying to get the most performance out of you.
Okay.
And I just want to know, where's the wiper? Where's how do I turn the air conditioner on, right? Because I want to buy.
It's like a test drive.
Yeah, I want to see what the difference between a 458 and a 430 is, right? But Amanda, she drove a bunch of cars too, and she melted down a Super Leggera Lamborghini, like fucking, because it was hot out, and you're running these things, and it's short distances, so you're not pushing a lot of
V12 in it.
Yeah, and you're not pushing a lot of air through the radiators and shit. So if she fucking melts this, it goes into safe mode, right? So she limps it back in. They put her in. She drove a what's that thing that has the launch mode on it? Well, they all fucking have launch mode. Anyway, she drives a bunch of shit, but she drove the Corvette 3 or 4 times. Like out of all the cars that were there, that's what and the most fun I had, they had a drift car driver there, and Borla had come out with a kit for this Corvette. It was a few years ago. It's not the newest version.
Okay.
So it had exhaust, and it was, straight aspirated and everything. So this thing, the most fun I had was him drifting this Corvette. And we did like 12 laps in this fucking thing. Wow. And we had some of the kids with us. They weren't old enough they wouldn't let them drive the cars. So they got to do the drift stuff. Dude, I had more fun with that race car driver, the drift driver.
I've only watched that from afar.
I always looked at it and I'm like, that's lame, whatever. But holy shit, was it fun being in that track.
What's underrated is dirt track.
Yeah, I haven't. Not in a car, I haven't. I've not.
So these guys,
I've seen it.
It's like NASCAR and drifting put together.
Yeah.
They're insanely talented. Like, it's a controlled slide around every turn on dirt with I think like an 800 horsepower.
We have one here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a real art form, but it's rednecks.
Have you ever been to a demolition derby?
No, I've seen them though.
So Jonathan Jackson that was in there, he's close with some farm friends of ours, Jack and Wes and those guys. And they do they did a demolition derby, and it's run once you're brung, mostly metal cars kind of stuff.
You go till it dies, or how does it?
They kind of have some rules, but the rules kind of go out. Yeah, you go till it dies.
Okay.
And
I don't know how you don't die.
And they hit you. Well, you've welded cages and shit in there, and between, like, they'll break every 5 minutes or whatever, and you come back and they're rapidly. You have a pit crew that's trying to keep you in the race. Dude, and when we went, it was at the Paris Fairgrounds, right? Okay. And it was during the fair. It was an event in the evening, and I'm like, I'm just going because I'm super stoked that Wes and Jack invited me to go, right? I'm just going to go because I'm not going to tell these guys I want to be involved. Dude, I had so much fun just watching that shit. It was so fucking fun.
And the people watching is usually pretty great.
I was there with my boys, man. We were there when the car was broke in the pits and stuff. It was fun. It was a good time.
Yeah, I had some exposure to the dirt track thing, and it is not what I imagined. Like, I thought it would just be a bunch of rednecks hooting and hollering and drinking Bud Light.
I think you should just go back to like the early days of NASCAR and get you an all metal car and put some booze in the back and just drive as fast as you can till you see some sirens and some lights, and just keep driving. It's like Bonnie and Clyde kind of shit. You should probably have a Tommy gun.
Supposedly that's the origin story.
That's what they say right there.
Yeah. I just listened to your Moonshiner interview on the way here with Jason.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like Moonshine Bandits. Yeah, that I did. I listened to that too.
Yeah.
This morning I didn't know that it had gone live. Yeah, good interview.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I could do another couple of interviews. Like, he has a lot to say. It's just somebody called it. That's a good way to put it, right? Somebody said that about you. You're an iceberg. Do you know what that means?
There's more than meets the eye.
Yeah, you see the tip on the surface, but there's so much more below.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought that was a good way. Don Stinson messaged me.
Okay.
And said, "Hey, I just listened to this interview. Good fucking interview." He's like, "That dude's like an iceberg."
Huh.
And I go, well, "What does that mean?" And that's when he said it. And that's Jason too. Like Jason, he's just kind of standing there and talking and stuff about whatever, but he has a vast amount of things that he can talk about.
He's been all over the world.
All over the world twice, yeah.
Yeah, I lived like several lives in my short life already, so it's unusual.
So if you had to categorize those lives into chapters, what would those chapters be called?
So childhood, I'd say like birth to 12, not knowing what the heck I am, and just bored.
Not just being a kid?
No, I couldn't find. So one of my key struggles growing up, which makes me really grateful to be alive in today's day and age, is I couldn't find anybody to teach me the stuff I wanted to learn.
What did you want to learn?
Like dude stuff.
How old are you?
I'm 34.
Holy shit. Okay.
So I'm an elder millennial.
So no Boy Scouts for you.
I did Weebelows or some crap, but I wanted to learn like how to work on cars and how to build stuff. And so my grandpa did a little bit. We all lived nearby, and I could go through the woods to my grandpa's house. But he's a grandpa. He's old and not super motivated and pretty annoyed with me, probably looking back, right? But so internet is like YouTube is my mentor. Right?
Yeah.
Like, but so birth to 12, I'm like frustratedly bored. School's too easy.
So birth to 12, did you have YouTube? You didn't have internet.
No, I'm just saying I was bored because I didn't have
Got it.
Yeah. And then I think, awkward teenage figure out, I don't know, started doing harder stuff at school, took harder classes, and was on that. If you just take hard classes, you'll get into college route. And
right. Yeah.
College is everything. Then, okay. So I guess that's mainly one chapter there. You can just say that's childhood. And then the next one would be, I don't know. So the next phase of my life, I went to college for 2 years, then took a break and went and lived in Nicaragua, and then came back, got married, and then went back to Nicaragua again, and then so that whole phase is like adventure. I did a 10,000-mile motorcycle trip in there, and so that was like the coming of age, I guess, like the rising action of the.
Did your wife go to Nicaragua with you?
Yes. And then the next phase is wife leaves you, and your world falls apart and doesn't want to reconcile. And
oh wow! Did she ever get kidnapped?
No, unfortunately, just left on her own. But that would have been more exciting. And then
just because Nicaragua,
rebuild my life, and meet my current wife, remarry, start a family. So I would say those are the bookends, right? Like that middle is the hell, the coming of age to the hell. I see it as like I spent my whole life preparing for that, made it through, didn't lose my mind, didn't kill myself, didn't destroy myself in some terrible way, and then was able to come back from it. And yeah, man, that got heavy quick. Sorry, you asked, but
had you thought about killing yourself?
No, but it was dark. I mean, I was a couple degrees from it, but
right.
That motorcycle accident thing happened in that time. That was a big boost. Like, okay, you got purpose.
Right.
And then, yeah, that was when my belief system got rocked. Like when everything gets taken from you, that's when you get a chance to see what's real. So it's like what's left when the dust settles. That's
I think the people that have the best stories have to have an aspect of negativity and darkness, right?
Yep.
Nobody wants to see the superhero who the movie started off and everything was just great, right? You have to have the catalyst, right? You have to be bitten by the spider, or something has to happen. And I wonder if that's how it is in real life for people, because
that's an archetype. Yeah, I mean that's
right.
That's supposed to represent exactly this.
I think the people that don't have that, they're almost like NPCs,
they're
right?
Crippled.
They're not. We don't know them for the most part.
Yeah. Well, they're not. They haven't come alive yet. So that was my rebirth. Now it's interesting. I was listening to Andy Frisell on the way over here, his most recent thing, and he's really crap talking this idea of trauma. And I know why, right? I wanted to ask you about this, so I'm glad we got here.
Let's undo it. I know about Andy's trauma.
I don't know about his trauma. His whole shtick in this segment was like, get over yourself. You don't have trauma. Somebody being mean to you is not trauma. Toughen up. Get with the program. Get hard. Get disciplined, and make something of yourself. Totally on board with most of that.
So I agree. I agree with all of that.
Okay. Here's my issue is and he compares trauma. He's like, that's not trauma. Trauma is getting your leg blown off in Iraq or having to pull your buddy up. So my issue is, for me, what I went through, it was trauma, because it's the hardest thing I ever went through.
What are we talking about?
Like my wife leaving, my world falling apart. It was emotional trauma.
You just need some more shit to happen to you.
Yeah. Well, hear me out. So what I think about it is, you can't worship the trauma. You can't identify with it. You can't make it your excuse. Mm-hmm. But you got to understand what you went through and overcome it. So I think that's the pieces. I don't see the value in like beating somebody up that it hurt real bad, because the fact is that's the worst thing they ever went through. Even if it looks stupid to you, it sucked, right? And it's the hardest thing they ever did.
But you're not wearing it, right? You don't have a shirt on that's like, hey, my wife left
totally
me, right?
disagree with that crap.
Yeah, you're not, you don't start with that.
No.
Hey, I'm Evan. My wife left me once upon a time, right?
I'm on board there.
We tell those stories. I don't start off with, hey, man, my name is John Willis. I was in federal prison.
Right.
Hey, while I was in federal prison, my wife was fucking my best friend, and his motorcycle was on my porch, right? Mm-hmm. I don't start with,
I would identify it.
She stopped coming to see me, and she didn't come visit me, and even when they dragged me 400 miles back to San Diego, she didn't come see me while I was in custody for 2 weeks, right? Like, I don't tell people.
Don't lead with that.
I start with when people talk shit and tell me why they can't do something, and I'm like, do A, B, C. Well, that's easy for you. Was it easy for me when I came home from prison?
You don't know anything about me.
Yeah, like, and that's when I tell the prison story, because I didn't start off where people think, and I'm really not where people think I am, you know? Yeah. So Pierre would often say, I feel like I can't do anything great and I haven't achieved any greatness because I haven't had any trauma. And I said, you better be very fucking careful with that. As soon as you open that door, I said, I hope you never have that story.
It's like an invitation.
Yeah. And Frisella talks about, you have number one guys and number two guys, right? And number one guys can never be like the CEO, right? The top of the spear, the tip of the spear. A lot of dudes aren't built like that, right? There's not a time off. Like, business is not 8 to 5, 40 hours a week. Right. I tell people it's 120 hours a week, and they really don't math that out and realize that a week actually is 120 hours, right? So, but number one guys can never achieve the level that they could achieve without a number two guy and a number three guy.
I see
and that's what I'm like. Pierre's got great ideas, and I'm like, this is the best idea I've ever had, right? But he doesn't execute on them because he doesn't want to be the number one guy. He maybe he thinks he does. Pierre is an amazing number two or number three guy, and very fucking valuable.
He's a bass player.
Or maybe the guitarist, right? The poster boy of the band is always the lead. It wasn't Tommy Lee. Everybody knows Tommy Lee because of the crazy shit in Motley Crue, but it's Vince Neil, right? That's the poster boy. My eye is burning because I fucking cut up a jalapeno 12 hours ago and cooked it in bacon grease, but I touched that seed, and I even told myself, I'm like, I am going to fuck myself up later, and it is right now. So Frisella's thing with the trauma, what you might not know,
I don't have much background.
Okay. You would do well if people are like, hey, what course should I buy that's going to help me in life or business? I would tell you, you don't need to buy anything. The MFCEO project is the first 350 podcasts they did, and it was business development. They were ranked number one on iTunes, and across podcast for entrepreneurship, business development, number one for like 3-4 years in a row.
Okay.
Fucking amazing content, and much of it is fucking actionable the same day. There's some nugget in there, yeah. But what people don't know about Andy is that Andy was out at a bar with a girl, black girl, and some dude came up and called her a racial slur. I am unclear to whether this was his girl or friend. I've heard both. I've heard him say both.
Okay.
And he's like, hey, man, fuck you. You're not going to... And he's kind of like standing up for her. And this dude immediately starts stabbing Andy. Stabs him like a dozen times in the chest, cuts his face, paralyzes all the nerves in his face. And Andy's going to die, right? They take him away on an ambulance. They put him back together. And now he's just kind of like damaged. His face is paralyzed. He's completely fucked. He's thinking about killing himself. His business everything's fucking bad, right? Wow. When they started the company, him and his partner, Chris, they had a little bit of money they put together, and they're going to line parking lots. That's what this business they're going to start. So they kind of start doing that, but they end up renting this space, and they're going to start selling vitamins, right? And they start this vitamin store, which becomes the biggest vitamin and supplement store in the United States. They still own it. A lot of people don't realize that. We know Andy Frisella for First Form Nutrition, which is dude, if you search it on the internet, you can't grasp how well and big and fast these guys have gone. Him and his brother Sal, and then Chris, his partner. They have buildings that are literally like fucking Amazon. They're in St. Louis, Missouri.
Yeah.
And he does all this content. Dakota Laboda, I'm sure like I really don't know a lot of the people that are closest in my life. I don't actually know their names. Like Dakota, it's Laboda or whatever. We always call him Nick, the new guy.
Yeah.
But he told me, yeah, Gray Wolf Tactical, Snoots on the Ground, cute name, bad for business. He just changed it. I don't know what the new name of it is.
Snoots on the, are you serious?
Yeah. So he had he's doing his dog thing, and it was Snoots on the Ground, right? Cute name.
Okay.
But it doesn't work for business. And he wants to be a dog trainer, and I think that's his passion. It's what he is.
Cutesy for that.
He has always been about dogs, right?
Okay.
So, anyways, he told me for a long time, "Hey, you got to listen to this podcast."
Okay.
And I'm like, whatever. And one day he just came in. He's like, "Let me see your phone." Like he'd told me for fucking a year probably. Huh. He puts this on. He's like, "Listen to this." I'm like, "Who the fuck is this?" And it's like my spirit animal, right? And
the guy I've been telling you.
Yes. Yeah. Hey, dumbass. And I listen to 20 podcasts in a day probably.
Mm-hmm.
And but that's what he had talked about. And one of the ones he talks about that he's like, I was in a grocery store. I'm walking around. I'm just kind of in a daze. I fucking hurt. Everybody's staring at me. My face is fucked up. My head is like twice the size of this side of my head.
Really?
Yeah, if you look, you can see the scar, right?
It makes sense now,
yeah,
but I never thought twice about it.
We never do.
Right.
We never do, right? And I jump on dudes all the time over that shit. And sometimes it eats at me, right?
Okay.
Like when I'm like, here, you want the real truth? Here's the truth. Here's the real fucking John Willis, right? I spend days replaying those things that I say, right? And I question whether it was right to say or if I should have said it in a different manner, because my real concern is that I'm going to tell you the truth and then I'm going to get an email from some woman. It's like, hey, you said this and my husband's left me or he's killed himself. Like that's what I fucking, it eats me. Yeah. Like I'm really torn whether to put the kid gloves on and how far to take them off, you know? So Andy's walking around in the grocery store and he bumps into this lady's shopping cart. And he looks up and he's like, oh my God. And she's like, yo, bro, what happened to your fucking face? Because he saw her. She had crashed in an airplane. And she had crashed in an airplane with her mother, father, and I think her sister, and she was the sole survivor. And the airplane crash melted her face.
Oh my gosh.
So she has no lips. She has no eyebrows. And she's like, yo, bro, the fuck happened to your face? And he just started laughing, right? So they end up sitting down and they talk for like an hour. And she's and that's when he realized, he's like, I really don't have it that bad.
Okay.
And that's I think that's something you might not know. That's where
I didn't know any of that.
And there are episodes, right? I don't have Andy Frisella poster on my wall, right?
I got you.
I know some people that know him. I know some guys been on his show. I've never met him. But the things he has actionable is the key there.
Yeah.
There is something in there actionable, and there are episodes that I've only listened to one time, but I can tell you this will change your life. Like Win the Day, for instance. The Power List episode, which was like number 3 or 30. There's a 3 in there. He had a dude on, this black dude out of San Diego. I can't remember his name. Fucking just awesome dude. And he does like big marketing advertisements. Like they rented the Star of India, which is like this pirate ship in the San Diego Bay.
Okay.
They take it out, they dress as pirates, and he's like, okay, that's awesome. Give all of the listeners something actionable. He goes, actionable? You need something actionable? Okay, here's actionable. Everybody can do this. Do you need money? Call your customers. Call your customers. Hey, thank you for your order. I hope things are well in your life. Call and communicate with your customer. I'm like, holy shit. And he's talking about using props, right? He's like, sometimes I start a video and I just jump up and or we use these big foam fingers, or we use these over-exaggerated gift cards and these like greeting cards and stuff. Yeah. He's like, we use a prop because it catches the eye, right? Mm-hmm. He's like, but call your customer. I did. I turned on a live and just called. As orders came through, I would call them and I'd be like, hey, man, I just saw that you ordered. I just want to say thank you for your order. How did you hear about us? Why did you order this product? And dude, the orders started pouring through. I did this several years in a row. I would do it on Thanksgiving and I would do it on Christmas. And the orders would just like, dude, while I was calling people, I'd be on there for about an hour just calling. And 50, 60, 100 orders would come through while I was doing the lives.
Wow.
Now, he didn't say do the lives. And a lot of people, like we bought a phone number. It's 1-880 to Dick. That's a legit phone number. Okay. I think it's 866 or something. But there's a red phone in there. Oh. There's no numbers on it. It only rings in. Okay. And we did that because we used to turn on a live, and I'm like, hey, call the request line. Okay. And they'd call it, and we would talk to people on the phone. If people just wanted to talk. It got to the point where we actually, I have never unplugged it. I took it and put it in a box so I can't hear it ring, because it would ring all day long. People would just call and call and call and want to talk to it. But there was another thing, and I got this from Frisella also. The whole reason I started telling you, like, I got so much value out of this that I wanted to do business with him in some manner. Yeah. I didn't know he owned First Form Nutrition. Like, I listened to the first probably 200 episodes, had no fucking idea.
Did you know that brand apart from him?
Kind of, right? So he had Ed Milet, which is a name that should 100% be on your radar.
It is. Yep. So I was going to bring him up.
So he's partners with Ed. Arte Syndicate, they're partners. And then,
which is like their coaching business leadership.
And then they're tied. So Andy Frisella, Rob is friends with Andy Frisella. Season 2 of the podcast had one of Rob's songs on there. Okay. Rob also did the song for Southpaw. What was the boxing movie?
I think it's called
Southpaw. So Rob got on there with Busta Rhymes.
That's Kill Rob
Bailey. Okay, yeah. So he has a coaching group also. Yeah. Very, very good. Well worth the price. Actionable again, and just to have access to these guys. There's a live video every Tuesday, and to have access, and just like he interacts on my social media, we interact. Frisella's interacted a few times on my social media, so he had Ed Milet on, and he was talking about his morning routines, and he's like, I use apple cider vinegar, half a lemon squeezed, turmeric, cumin, and then I drink that. And Andy's like. And he's like, I also use this green product. He's like, bro, I build the best green product in the world. He's like, First Form Nutrition. I'm like, oh, what the fuck is this, right? OptiGreen. So I look it up, and I start buying it. Yeah. And they're smart, right? They have this that's when I remember we had asked you, what service could you give them where you could upsell when I sent you the thing about the fur coats, right?
Yep.
And then, so First Form has a reoccurring order. I can set it so that it sends me OptiGreens every 2 weeks, every month, every 6 weeks. What happens when you order from First Form Nutrition, comes in a box, and there's a handwritten fucking note on your packing slip. Yep. And it says, hey, my name's Kinsey, and I packed this order. If there's anything I can do for you at all, here's the 800 number. Call and ask for me.
Yep.
And then, after I ordered, one day, I got a postcard in the mail, and it's black, and it says First Form Nutrition, and it's blank in the middle. It's a card, and there's a whole fucking handwritten note. It says, hey, thank you for your 10th order. We really appreciate you, blah, 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 blah. Well, later, I hear Andy talking about this. Andy employs 50 people that write these letters.
Oh, they just write.
They're moving so much fucking volume. Like, dude, when I say they have a fulfillment center, like they build and cold press all their own shit in their buildings. Okay. So these greens, they're never heated, so all the enzymes are still alive from the stuff. They do all their own powders, they do all their own shit, and then they do all their own shipping and fulfillment, right? So when I say they have a building the size of Amazon, you drive by, and if it didn't have this big fucking First Form sign, you would think that was a fucking Amazon. Really? So they write these letters, but on my 10th order, I get this thing, and it's this postcard, and it's got a discount, like a gift card in it, right? And then I heard him talking about it later. So we actually did that. I was talking to Pierre, worked here for some time, and that's what we did. So I ordered up a bunch. I'm like, order me a bunch of postcards, Amanda, that are black. I want a black envelope. We're going to use a silver Sharpie. And what we were doing is we would go, so Nick left here, Dakota left here, and went and worked elsewhere. So there was a period of time for about 2 weeks where I was doing the shipping to fill the gap. And I'm not a good shipping guy. But I started doing the shipping. I was kind of slow at it. But what I started noticing is that I was shipping boxes to some of the exact same people every day. And I'm like, I don't recognize this guy's name. Now, I still pull orders and I still interact with customers, but mostly social media forward facing. Yep. So I know some of the names, but I'm seeing orders and I'm like, who the fuck is it? He's ordering, like, I've seen this name before, right? So I
saw that with the radio pouches.
Yeah. Yep. So I start so we're seeing it through ShipStation. But I start taking it and putting it into Shopify, and I'm looking at their accounts, and I've got dudes in here that have 200 orders,
Wow,
500 orders, 20,000 accounts, $50,000 accounts,
wow.
and I don't know these guys' names. That's a problem. Like I have really fallen short here.
So they set a threshold to do follow-ups at 10 orders to.
That's exactly what they were doing. So what I started doing when I was pulling up everybody's order. So we're shipping 50 packages less per day because I'm taking the time to do this.
Get it back.
We're writing them out. So what I started doing is on the orders, on the shipping order, I put 3 things. Number 1, I'm going to use your name. Hey, Bob, thank you so much for your order. I really appreciate that you've ordered 17 orders from us. Thank you for representing my company by wearing this T-shirt you've purchased. I hope you never need this tourniquet that you've ordered this pouch for, and I hope that you love this big black cock. So use their name, say something serious, say something funny, right? I want minimum 3 lines. And then when we would see their orders, what we started doing, and I've told a lot of people this, and everyone that I've told this has come back and said, dude, this fucking works so well. And what it was on your customers, when you have customers at their 10th order or 100th order, or by the time you catch it or whatever, we would send them this postcard. And the postcard would say, hey, thank you so much for valuing my company and trusting your life to our products. Thank you for your 27th order. Here is 10%,
Give them something.
10% of the last year or whatever. We would send them a gift card that was good for 72 hours. What we always saw when we sent that gift card out is that they would buy 5 times more than the gift card.
Wow.
Always. And revenue jumped immensely every time we did that.
And it sounds like a strategy, because it is, but I mean, there's more to it. It's like that customer feels like they matter.
You're building loyalty. You're
Right.
you're having a personal, somewhat relationship.
It's not a manipulation. It's just
correct. And they didn't expect it. It came through the mail separately.
Okay.
Handwritten.
Not in the box. Yep.
Nope. We would send it out separately. That's what those postcards were for. And who the fuck writes anything? I met a kid. I say kid. He's probably 35. In Bus We Trust, like in God We Trust. He's a cover band artist guy.
Okay.
Fucking good, right? Like talented. I have some records in there he had pressed, and he gave me some of his records, his own music, and we were talking. And out of the blue the other day, I got a box with some stuff and a couple T-shirts and a 2-page handwritten letter. Dude, I haven't seen an actual handwritten letter.
Yep.
In 20 years.
Yep. Makes you stop.
But I have it sitting in there. Yeah, I still have it. I know I can show it to you right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, you stand out.
Yeah, and that customer loyalty, the stickiness is essential to weather hard times too, I imagine.
It's like we were talking, I said, I'm surprised we do this business card exchange with companies that we're friendly with.
Yep.
And I'm to the point kind of right now where we're shipping 200, 400 boxes a day some days. I do the exchange with people, but they're shipping 5 boxes a week, right? So I'm building their business. They're not really doing anything for us. And I question a lot of times when we do that, whether they even send our cards out, because we really don't hear about it. Yep. But I've noticed lately, there's a couple companies where they'll give us, 5,000, I think is what we asked for the initial. Hey, send us 5,000 cards. We run through them, and Amanda will be like, hey, I'm almost out of so-and-so's cards. I hit them up. And then she was like, we had this conversation last night. I'm like, hey, what about so-and-so? She's like, I told him 6 weeks ago I needed cards. I told him 2 weeks ago I needed cards. I told him yesterday I needed cards. I'm like, okay, well, fuck them.
Yeah.
Not our problem. But you'd said, when you're starting, I think you said you asked for 10,000 cards, right? That's what we asked for. And it is.
Like $700.
But I'm legitimately going to send out 10,000 cards.
You did. I was like, you're really out.
Yeah. So if we send out 10,000, those are 10,000 cards to qualified customers who have already done commerce with us, right?
Which happen to fit my demographic pretty well too. It's not like I'm selling soap or something like.
Right. Yeah. But we could do soap.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, it's a slam dunk. I would be stupid not to take you up on that.
And how many orders do you have to get off of those 10,000 cards to pay for the cards?
Like 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But people don't see that,
man. Beat that for sure.
Yeah, people don't see that.
Dude, I would go do whatever it took to buy the cards. Like, go get a job, whatever.
And I think that's people like, well, how do I do this? How do I do that? I go, Do you want me to tell you what I did?
If you got to ask,
we went and
built for it.
We stole things, right? We went and I knew where there was a bunch of hot air balloons. So we cut a bunch of webbing. I don't know why they had webbing. They had all this webbing, the seatbelt webbing in these hot air balloons. Yeah. I don't think hot air balloons have seatbelts, but we stole rolls of seatbelt webbing from behind these storage units. And then we went to Target because we didn't have Walmarts. We went to Target and we cut all the buckles off their shopping carts. The first rigs we made had these terrible plastic fucking buckles. And then we went to Admiral Bakersfield. There's a National Guard unit called Admiral Bakersfield. It's in right on the other side of the Tirasana Hill as you drop into Santee. We stole all the tennis courts and the volleyball nets, and we took all the canvas off of their trucks. That's how I built all my gear, the first gear. We stole it because it didn't exist. Yeah. All of our first stuff was black on green or black on camo because I could only get black webbing. That's the only, and I was buying it through Sports Chalet, which is like buying it at REI, and they would sell it by the yard.
Oh, geez.
They didn't give me a discount. I just bought all the yards.
That's how I started in radio.
I love it. And when you said that, I go, where are these coming from? You're like, I paid retail for these. Yeah. I paid retail for these to be able to sell these. I get it. I understand.
Yeah. Because the volume I need to do to get the other I can't do it yet.
Right.
And I can't mortgage my house. Like, I guess I could, but I mean, I can just start.
I like when you said, I'm like, are you building these antennas? You're like, no, I'm getting them from this guy, and he's really mad that I'm buying so many of them.
Yeah.
But I figured out how to make them.
Yeah.
That's the solution. Never have I asked you, how many can you do? You're like, as many as we can do.
Well, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I have to now.
Yeah.
I wanted to, now I have to. So it's a different change of mind.
There's not a lot of people like that. And I don't know why.
They're not free, man. Like, it's part of it is you cannot be so bound up by the crap everybody's bound up by. They're addicted to either their paycheck or people's approval, or
I think it's that they haven't lost anything.
Right.
They haven't had discomfort. They didn't come home and all their shit's gone. They didn't lose the other half of their life that they put their entire life into.
Yep.
And we walk around literally volatile or on the verge of, I don't care what happens to me, right?
Yeah.
I understand it.
Yeah.
I get it. I've been there. But then when something happens, and it's not ever what you expect when it happens, right? You find the right person or the other half or the person that makes you a better person, the person you want to live for them, right?
It makes you a freaking unstoppable force.
Yeah, you have a reason, a purpose, right? And then it's so much better than it was. That thing that you the thing you lost, right?
Oh,
that you were trying to figure out what you did wrong or got onto, how to fix it, or, I'm gonna go to the gym and just be a better person, and then you meet the person
you were desperate to fix sucked.
Yeah, and then
comparison,
and then you meet somebody that doesn't require that, and makes you so much better and makes everything easier.
Yep, and you're singing my song there.
I was there.
Yep.
Yeah, I was there, man.
And I take, like, if she's hearing me talk about it, either of them, but the first one, if she hears this, like, I legitimately am grateful now. Like, I got there pretty dang quick, too, but, like, first of all, it's at least half my fault for being the pathetic loser that tried to manipulate you into loving me. I'm sorry for wasting your life, too, right? You should have not said yes, but okay. I have plenty of responsibility there, but then on top of that, thank you for cutting me loose and letting me live this awesome life, because it sucked being with that.
Mm-hmm.
This rocks. So totally with you on that. Like,
yeah.
And I wouldn't be capable of any of this if I had never gone through that. Like, every heartache, every struggle, every moment of suffering prepared me for now. And I would be completely incapable of even the smallest parts of what I deal with right now. I would be fragile.
So, no kids with her?
No.
How many kids you have now?
3.
I've only met 1?
Yeah.
You're like the where the wild things roam.
Yeah, you told me that last time.
Because that's how I see you, right?
Yeah.
Every time I've seen you with your daughter, when I met you, I believe it was on the hill over here, right? So the sun's always over here. That's south. So if I'm up there, I think you had come through the gate or whatever, and you had her, and there's this giant fucking man with this little person, right?
She was 3.
Yeah. So it's like, that's what it looks like. It looks like the cover of Where the Wild Things Roam.
Yep. And those kids wouldn't exist if I got my way. Like, that is the bizarre thing, is like, if I got what I want, people would not exist. Like, that's a tough pill to swallow.
It's wild.
But I'm super grateful. But that's that, circling back to the trauma thing, all I'm getting at, and I'm passionate about it because it's what I do with people who are suffering when I sit down and help them, is I see and hear the trauma, like, not in the woke I see you bullcrap. I'm talking about, I acknowledge that sucked, and like, even if it's not as bad as what I went through or as bad as getting your leg blown off, like, I'm going to help you unpack it, help you make sense of it, help you see the lies that you believe because of it. But we are moving way past that, but we got to start at just acknowledging, I feel you. Like, no judgment, no condemnation, just acceptance and empathy for a second. Like, we're not stopping there. I'm not saying build your life on sympathy, but just a brief moment of acknowledgement, because a lot of people don't feel like they're allowed to even acknowledge it, especially when they hear somebody saying, get up, be disciplined, shrug it off, get tough. I think they need a brief acknowledgement before they can get there, because they aren't built of that crap. They're not made like Andy Frisella. They're made like a wimp. I was. So, I mean, I needed someone to hear me out, digest it with me, help me process it. Okay, now we're building, bud. Like, and that guy had to be a man. Like, it couldn't be some wet noodle of a feminist, help me acknowledge my trauma and build an identity around that. I needed to be called up into something higher immediately, but had to have that inflection point, or I would be stuck there.
Scully, the other day, was talking about a young Marine that was in his rifle squadron or platoon, or they were in a gunfight.
Okay.
Kid gets shot in the face. Comes downstairs and he's like, they shot my face off. They shot me in the face. Scully wipes the blood. Corman's right there, and he wipes. He's like, it's not that bad. He's like, it's not that bad? He's like, no, man, I don't think they're even going to give you stitches. And it was just a piece of shrapnel, right? Face bleeds a lot. But the kid was convinced he's dying. Scully's like, you're going to be okay. Like, just wipe the blood off. He's like, I'm going to be okay. Powerful. And he goes, yeah, you're all right, man. They're probably not even going to give you stitches. You can stay down here with us if you want to. He's like, you said I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm going back upstairs. Yeah. Right back in the fight, starts running the gun again.
And the flip side, that people die from things they don't even have.
Right. How many people have been died when they got shot in the finger and with a 22 or whatever?
Or illnesses they don't even have.
Yeah, because they just have been, they give up.
Yep.
So maybe that's what people need to hear. Maybe people just need to, number one, release it and be told
part of it. You're
going to be okay.
You need to hear the story doesn't end here. It begins here, right? Like, this is your birth. This is the Batman origin story for you.
Yeah.
Not, this is your life's anthem that you're the guy that got left.
I get emails, horrible emails, right? Guys send me shit, and I'm like, holy shit, right? And I'm like,
where's my order? Or
no.
Just messing.
No, like, literally,
where's my shotgun?
I've got a stack of them. Like, I was going to kill myself.
Okay,
and
real stuff.
After the fact, right? A lot of them. But I do get emails, and I'm like, my wife left me. She's taking my kids. She fucking boiled my dog on the fucking stove. Not that, but I mean, just as an example, right?
Yep.
And I'm like, look, I need you to know that this is going to get worse, right?
Yeah.
This is not the end of it, but it's going to also get better.
Yeah.
You're going to be something stronger. And that's what I tell them. I'm like,
hope.
Yeah, and I guess that's what it is, right? But not even hope. Fucking knowing, right? I'm not hoping for anything. I'm building something. This is going to happen, but I need you to know this is going to suck.
Yeah.
There are going to be times when you want to quit, but there's not any fucking superhero movie out there that you watch where the guy didn't have a fucking move with purpose every day, right? Act as though, ask yourself this, right? When you're sitting and you know things are fucked up and you're spending time doing things that don't add to you,
yep.
Don't get stuck, right? Act as though there is a fucking camera following you around. Mm-hmm. Act as though when you're sitting doing something you know that's not adding to you, and definitely when you're doing something you know that is taking away from you, if you operate as though your life is being put on television, you will stop doing those things. We know what we're doing that we shouldn't be doing, and we know what we're doing that we should be doing. Do more of the shit that you should be doing. Mm. And I know, maybe, and I don't, I could be giving guys very poor advice.
No, I would literally
and I never
say
hear
the
from
same
them.
stuff with more religious language, but the same thing. Like, Jesus in you is telling you, do not do that. You know it, you hear it, you ignore it, you've learned to ignore it. Stop ignoring it. Like, that's how I
agree.
Put it the same way with different details. But
there's been a lot of dudes lately sitting in that chair that have that message.
I know.
And I don't think that any of you guys know each other.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There are dudes that we've literally have had the same, like, there's a guy that saw an angel, like TJ says,
I listened.
Right? Bear says he saw an angel. What Bear doesn't know, and what you may or may not know, is I stood in my kitchen the night before, and Dean told me the same fucking story. I mean, fucking word for word, and they had never met each other.
Wow.
I mean, the angel looked the same. The situation was the same.
Yeah. That was the suicide aversion angel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sonny's got a story. They just went.
I kind of felt like some camaraderie with that, with my motorcycle thing, like something held that frickin' car back.
Yeah.
I know the brakes maybe did too, but I mean something.
I was put in juvenile hall when I was a kid. I don't know. I was going to turn 18 there, right? So I was going to be there about 6 months. And looking back, it was nothing, right? But it's terrible when you're locked up, right?
I have no
idea. I always would spend my time going to Bible study or going and doing whatever. So I had a SAT study guide that my father had sent me, and I was reading the Bible. And I've never read the Bible. Still haven't. I read it and try to read it and fall asleep, but I go to Bible study. And I had called home before, I don't know what day it even was, but my dog, this Cocker Spaniel we had died. And it was terrible. A little black Cocker Spaniel, and he died, and, I'm trapped here in this fucking juvenile hall, and I'm very, hurt by this. And when I went to Bible study, the preacher, chaplain, whatever he was, told a story about this black dog that this family had, and the dog had died, and it was just super. It could not have been coincidence, right? So ever since then, it's always been like my dad is a Baptist preacher, and
I thought I'd heard that at some point.
Yeah, Dad was a preacher. Okay. He was a I don't know if he's a chaplain. He's actually a psychologist in Sedona. Okay. Went in the Navy, got out of the Navy, was a deputy sheriff after Vietnam, went back in the Navy, became an officer in the Navy, put himself through school, got his PhD. I think there's actually a second PhD there, retired after 22 years in the Navy, lieutenant commander, maybe commander. Didn't have a real close relationship with Dad, always proud of Dad. But I was just a kid, My parents were divorced, and he went to Northern California. We'd go see him on the weekends, and schooling was very important to him. And I just was like, I don't want to do this,
Didn't work with you.
But growing up, while parents were still together, we did go to church. We went to church on Sunday. We went to church on Wednesday. We were at church all the fucking time, right? So I was in Bible school a lot, like Sunday school and Bible study, kid church and shit, but wasn't interested in any of that shit. They just didn't say it in a manner that related. It was like being trapped at school. You don't want to be there.
Just another version of that.
Yeah. Sonny just told a story, and I'm sure that it'll be out public before this goes out. He had a class, I think it was in Texas there, and just out of the blue, Megan, his wife, was like, hey, I want to go to church. He's like, you don't have any interest in church. You've never wanted to go to church. What church? She's like, I found a Russian Orthodox church. I want to go. And he's like, okay. So they go to church. And I'm like, did you feel like you didn't belong? Because TJ had talked the same thing, right? When I walk into church, I feel like I do not belong in church.
Yep, me too.
It's not that I don't want to go to church. It's just that it's not that church, right? Or any church, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
So he's like, no, man, I felt like I belonged. We were welcomed. We were meant to do it, right? So they've got a great church, Pastor David or Priest David, because it's Orthodox, right?
Yeah.
So he said, I'm teaching this class, and he said, I don't know why I did this. I just told all my students, I'm like, meet me at the coffee shop. So we go to the coffee shop, we get coffee and whatever, and he's like, follow me. So they go, and he takes all of his students to church. And he's got all kinds of dudes, right? The gambit, like fucking
they're coming to Sonny's training.
Mob bosses and motorcycle gang guys and dudes that have fucking OD'd, been in prison half their life kind of shit, and takes them to church. And then they're going to go train, but it starts raining. And Sonny's like, hey, we need some place. Where can we go where there's a pavilion or a cover where we can still train and stuff? So the priest immediately just rattles off. He's like, oh, over here, it's 12 minutes from here. Go to this place. So they go there and they run into this dude who's there, and he's talking and he's kind of interested what they're doing. You can smell the booze. It's pouring off of them. And the dude in talking, he's like, PTSD, wounded vet. He's like, I'm just done. He's like, life is so fucked up. He goes, I just took this bottle of pills and I drank a bottle of radiator fluid and I'm done. And they just all start talking to him. And they just have this fucking conversation. And the dude just kind of like snaps out of the blue. And he's like, all right, brother, I'm gonna know my mom's looking for me. They're really worried. They've texted. I'm gonna go home and I'll see you in church. It was just, yeah, it's just, and I'm like, is he alive? He's like, I don't know. I was just, we were meant to be. I go, maybe that dude was there for all those guys, right? Maybe that dude is an angel. Who fucking knows?
It's bi-directional.
Yeah. It's just.
I've got my own weird ones for sure. I've seen that, and
Will you tell me one?
Yeah. But important for me is that's not the culture I came up in where you see miracles. So like I grew up in Bible church, not Holy Spirit is moving in the world church. So for me to see miracles and believe that I'm highly skeptical. I'm not exposed to it. Like, so in that coming of age phase, I had a lot of this stuff happen, and it totally kind of freaked me out because I'm like, wait a minute, church is just study and
church is not God.
And rules.
Yeah.
Oh, that's exactly right. So,
but on the other hand, I did come to you 3 times and you turned me away.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you want to know a story? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay. So, when I got married, when I got engaged, I had also just been through the counseling thing I mentioned to you last time that I work for the place that I came out of.
So this is this new wife.
Yep. My current wife, we had met, we were dating, I think we were engaged, and I felt like I was called to be a counselor. And I was working a good job when I met her. Had a life to invite her into, and I'm getting called into.
I like that. I had a life to invite her into.
Yeah, and I was going to be given that away to be a counselor on a missionary salary, right? You raise your own support to be a counselor at this place, so you don't get paid. So I'm pretty terrified to tell her this because I'm thinking, I have the conditioning from my previous relationship where your worth comes from what you bring to the table, and you don't matter, right? So if you take away your money and your income, there's nothing left. So tread very carefully, right? So I'm pitching this to her. I work up the courage to tell her about it, and I had all this confirmation prior to that, and she's like totally freaking cool with it, like she is with things, and totally backing me, believing that it would be cool, and trusting because she believes in me. So she believes in me more than I believe in me.
Right.
Then and now. And so I was struggling with it still for the financial reason. So we go to this big event in Raleigh. And this guy I really liked to listen to was speaking at this event, and I wanted to go see him. So we sign up to go. Raleigh's her hometown. He happens to be doing it at her hometown, so we have a free place to stay with her parents and all this. We go the first night of the event. He's not even there yet. He's coming as the keynote. So this is like the prequel. The youth pastor is talking. So I'm like, oh, great, this is retarded. Like the youth pastor. He's always like the lowest guy on the totem pole. And but we get there, and I just prayed. I said, Lord, if you got something for me, I'm listening. So the title or the theme of the message is, if not now, when?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you got to freaking be kidding me. No. So I puzzle it out. I'm like, okay, it's New Year's. This is a pep talk for the next year. It has nothing to do with me. Not me. Cool. All right. Give me another one. That one doesn't count, God. Okay. So I'm like, all right. So I'm sitting there. We go through the whole sermon. I'm like furiously taking notes. It's resonating. I can't deny it. Right. I'm like, this is pretty up my alley. So we get to prayer time, and this is a Holy Spirit crazy people church. It's always fun.
Any snakes there?
Not that, but just people dancing, running around, falling
Speaking
over,
in tongues
cool
and shit.
stuff.
Yeah.
Not my vibe at all. I mean, I'm this way all the time. So you imagine.
Demon's gone.
Right, so the lady doing ministry over everyone on the stage is praying out loud. And I said, Lord, if that was all for me, I want to hear the word counselor.
Oh, shit.
Just let's hear it. I have the recording of this. She literally stops on a dime what she's saying. This is from the stage, and starts on this diatribe about how the Holy Spirit is our counselor. Like, says it 100 times. Like, no, that's not enough. So the main pastor there is walking around. This is actually kind of funny, related to what we do here at SOE, but the main pastor's walking around, and what I don't know about him is he's kind of nutty. Like, he does these bizarre things. And I said, all right, Lord, if that was all for me, I want him to come over here and pray for me. Because he's going to pray for all these people. There's 800 people here. Just send him over here, and then I'll know, Lord. Right? Okay. I'm trying to set the bar as so high that it can't be.
Every time your bar's met, you raise it.
So, and it's the third one, right? So third one, he's got to come pray for me. So maybe 10 minutes later, I look over my shoulder, situational awareness, and here's the weirdo. He's at, 4 o'clock. He locks eyes with me and won't, awkwardly, and I'm like, okay, so I turn to face him. He raises his hands into holding a machine gun and makes a machine gun noise and does this to me. And I stand there like I'm sitting here right now, like, are you kidding me? That's retarded. Like, but that's his thing. He machine guns people. What I didn't know, the script is you're supposed to fall over. Like,
okay.
And that's a fun, playful thing they do, but I'm not in the loop. So I'm looking at him like any rational person would, like,
right.
You're crazy, man. Stops that, comes over, puts his hand on me, puts his hand on Hannah, prays for us. I don't remember what the heck he said, because I'm on cloud 9, like, I guess I'm going to be a counselor because you just sent this dude over to me. And I can't make any of that up. Like, I didn't want it to happen.
Right.
And I'm like, so of course I do it, and here I am. It's part of my story. It's not the only story. I ended up getting a new job that let me do it part-time on the clock. They gave me 1 day a week off to do counseling. I didn't have to quit my job. I made more money and got to do what I was called to. It was awesome. But
all the problems
if I hadn't said yes, that never would have happened. I wouldn't have looked for the job. I wouldn't have. So it was just like that kind of stuff makes it real. But you got to have that for yourself. And I'm not into, like, beating people over the head with, you just need to believe this. I just think you got to ask. Because that's what it took for me. Like, ask for it to be shown to you. And if it shows up, cool. If not, then God didn't show up. That's on him. Like, put him on trial. So that definitely got me serious. But I think I told you I, like, capture stuff, try to capture cool things that happen and encouragements in my journal. And that's why, is like to remind me in the thin places, like telling you that gives me a new,
when you're doubting,
I haven't
look
told,
back to the
I haven't
proof.
told that in 5 years. So like, it's cool to think back, like, holy crap, that really meant something. And the machine gun thing with Scully sitting here all the time, who does machine gun stuff, I'm like, he could shoot a real machine gun. I was just completely flabbergasted by this machine gun thing. It was completely bizarre, but it meant something. So now when people, it's another thing, when people trash talk that whole movement of those people, you can't trust them, they're crazy, don't go around that.
Which people we
that
talking
movement of charismatic Christians that, and I'm like, well, God used it in my life to tell me something, and so he's doing something through that.
So is it your duty, I was going to say job, is it your duty now to recruit people to be saved?
No.
So you're not trying to import?
No, I just wait to be asked, or if someone wants a secret to life, I'll give it to you, but it's not for me to, like, it just doesn't work, like, unless you're just really gullible, which it's not real anyway. So it's very similar to the radio thing, like, similar to selling anything. Like, I'd rather you be interested and me take it from there. If I get the red flags that you're not going to buy, I'm not going to waste my time.
Yeah, qualified customers.
So not a thing to sell, but kind of similar in that way. I have no background in that, but I'm learning intuitively on the selling.
I'll just watch what you're doing.
Now, I am super hopeful that the stuff that you were talking about, the card swap thing, people may not be putting your card in. I am chomping at the bit to be able to give back to what you've invested, and I know you don't take credit. I respect the humility, but, like, you have a part to play in my story with what you've done, and I want to see that bless you like it blessed me tenfold. Like, so the Wrangler Star thing, I know it's small potatoes, but, like, the fact that you get to profit from it in some way, build something and get some marketing out of it, it's exciting to me as much, if not more, than getting to do the business, because it's like, this quickly I can give back to you. How freaking cool is that? Like,
it's very cool. Don't let a seed be planted. When I said the card thing, that I was including you in that.
No, I'm not.
I understand.
No, I'm not.
The Wrangler Star thing is very neat because I'm a fan of. I don't know that it's a fan, right? I look at Cody's content. I spend so much time in doom and gloom.
Yeah.
That I have to escape, right? And my escape a lot of time is, okay, I got to turn this off. No politics kind of shit, right? Yep. No end of the world. Yep. So I'll go listen to survival fiction, right? Because it's still end of the world, but it's maybe there's something. And the last one, ever since you told me I have to listen to Atlas Shrugged, right? I've been listening to Atlas Shrugged.
Yeah.
And
Apple Shrub.
And that's a long ass book, right? I don't know how long it is, but I feel like I've been listening to it an hour a day for a month. But Wrangler Star, I can turn it on, and it's just like more wholesome.
It's refreshing.
Yeah.
He's making you more wholesome, I've noticed.
I think that's
something is.
I think that's you and the guys sitting around, right? Yeah. I don't think that's Wrangler Star. But the Wrangler Star stuff, right? Like, I just watched this video this morning. Can you buy a decent dirt bike for $5,000? And that comes on the heels of having watched Dirty Civilians dirt bike videos, right? I think wholesome, right? You wouldn't think that wholesome would go together with guns and
there's something happening in this.
There is.
Sphere.
And I want to be friends with those guys, right? I
just watched their Kyle Lamb interview, and they talk about God for an hour.
Oh, I'm sure with Kyle. Yeah. Kyle hit us up. Kyle asked us to build slings for him several times.
Okay.
That's Viking Tactics, right? It's his company.
So, yeah.
Yeah, he's hit us up a bunch. I'm like, man, I would love to say yes, but I can't build my own slings.
There's like this weird confluence happening with the tactical world and the faith world, like real stuff though, not BS.
Well, like maybe the rapture's coming.
Maybe.
Or end of day, whatever it is, right?
Yeah, tribulation.
Bear will tell you that he doesn't think that it's like people just disappear, right? It's something different. Bear,
he's got a real theological mindset on that kind of stuff that I'm not read in on.
He had my attention. Like, I wasn't listening like, okay, whatever, Bible, you do your Bible stuff, right? But when he had talked about tzitzit, the tassels.
Okay.
And he's like, it's Hebrew IFF, right? If I see those, that dude, I can identify that he's in our tribe. He's one of us, right? And it's the IFF. Like, and he said,
gang colors or...
his are blue, right? They're blue and white. Yeah, like gang colors kind of, right? But he's got these tassels. And he's like, I use those to remind myself when I'm being tempted, for instance. He's like, I might be in the store, in the grocery store at Walmart, right? And there's some chick with her fucking half her ass hanging out in a bikini. He's like, no. Right. I have a wife, at home. It's not for me, that kind of, and that really he has said a lot of shit
Yeah.
that has stuck with me, and it like replays in my head, which is why when there was the tornado right up in Kentucky, like I was drawn to him. I had to go
Yeah, I heard
and
you
meet
say
him.
that.
And had I not done that day, we would never have the relationship that we have now. And he's been here, I don't know, 4 or 5 times, 3, 4 times.
I never get a chance to meet him. It's like this elusive little.
I will make sure that happens.
I don't mean that bad.
No, because I want you.
Funny.
I want you to be friends with him.
Yeah.
I think that
Jody's tried to introduce me, and he'll get busy, or he had to leave this last time. It's like it's hilarious at this point. I'm trying to meet the guy. He disappears every time I try.
Yeah, real dude. Like what you think he is, he is.
I know. Yeah.
So I don't know that I'm becoming more wholesome. Maybe it's mature. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean it in a funny way, but there's you can observe a shift in how you see the world that it aligns. It certainly aligns with me, So it's encouraging.
So like the Wrangler Star thing, right? We're doing these.
The
No, because that's what I was talking about. Wholesome.
Yep.
So I'm excited to be included in that. Like when he went live, and I had no idea you'd sent him as much product, SOE product, and especially your product. Like I saw him show
my stuff.
I saw him show your radio products that I didn't even know you had, like the window jumper and the vehicle mounts, and I didn't know that you had those.
I thought you meant SOE gear.
Well, no, I was surprised that you sent him as much SOE kit as well. Excited, thank you. I will make you whole.
No, I'm just saying I was shocked that he did it all on a live.
Right.
Like, I thought he would unbox it in his living room.
I thought I was watching it, and it kept going and going and going, and I'm like, holy shit, this is live right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I was giddy about. I didn't get to watch it. I literally was up till 1 watching it because I was so busy. I had to pack the truck to get here. I had that meeting. I didn't get to watch it.
I got new words. I know what fizz is now, and skookum.
Yeah.
That's
from AVE.
What's AVE?
He takes apart power tools and explains how they work. He's a Canadian guy, so it's a Canadian.
Got it. Okay,
term.
so I was going to tell you. I got it.
Yeah.
AVE. Okay, that's another channel.
Yeah.
So it comes from the Northwest.
Yeah.
Saw guys, skokum.
Yeah.
It's a Canadian term,
something like that.
That's what Overton.
Culture.
And then he sent me a link to the fizz, and I was making.
I don't know about that.
Okay, so the fizz. And when I
just assume a carbonated beverage is what comes to mind.
Right. So I am like, the fizz, it's like it makes your dick hard, it's that thing right here. It's the and I was joking. I had no idea what he meant by fizz. At the end, if you watch the end of my live feed last night, you'll hear me go off on this whole thing about the fizz. Does it make your pecker poke up? That's the fizz. Well, that's actually what it is.
No kidding.
It comes from Top Gear. One of the seasons.
Show?
Yeah, Top Gear. And the 3 guys are sitting there. And he's like, they did this test, and they took a bunch of 25-year-old men, and they let them drive like Toyota Camrys, right?
Okay.
And they got to drive them as fast as they could on this same area. And then we gave them supercars, and they got to do the same thing. And we tested them after they drove the first car, and then when they drove the supercars, we tested them, and it was an elevation in testosterone with the supercars. Now, I don't know if that's true. Maybe they took 2 separate blood samples. Yeah. But he's like, that's the fizz. It gives you the fizz. And I'm like, holy shit, it really is. It gives you a boner. It's the fizz, right? It's right behind there. And like, because he's like, oh, you totally get the fizz. Here's the link to the video. So the video is like 20 minutes long. I watched it last night when I got off live. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I was just joking. But that's really what the fizz is.
Huh. Yeah, where I was going with that, though, is I am just pumped. Like, you're the kind of guy. Like, I'm this guy to my family. They don't know what the heck to give me a gift. Right? Like, I have everything. If I want it, I buy it. You're that guy, too. So I'm like, what? How could I ever thank John? What could you do for John? And I'm like, how? That's served up on a platter, like the chance to give you some exposure that I have some small part. Like, it's awesome to get to do that. So I'm pumped about that. I'm pumped to make a living, too. Don't get me wrong, but that's a incredible side benefit to it.
Well, I appreciate it, and thank you.
Good, thank you.
More than sales or whatever out of that, I would just like to have some new friends, right? I want some new people.
Yeah.
I would like to be able to call Cody a friend. I would like to be friends with Overton. I would like to like friend, not just like acquaintances. Like when we're doing a thing, legit. They want to come,
Yeah. I've had conversations on the phone with both of them, and they're real dudes, just like this, which is not the norm. I've talked to hundreds of people for hours.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can read, and it's there. I can know when it's not.
Yeah, we're so fucked up as a society now, right? Like I interact with guys every night on live feed, right? And I totally know LW of Jax, right?
Yep.
I don't know what he looks like. I think I've met him in real life, but guys come.
Yeah, you're on every feed.
Yeah, guys show, but then they
exactly
show
what
up, right? It happens all the time. We'll do some event or somebody will be here, and then when it's over with, the next day they're like, "Hey, man, it was totally nice to meet you." I'm like, "Who the fuck were you?"
Oh, that you don't even make.
You don't
the
know them, yeah. Or there's dudes that show up and they're like, "Hey, I'm so and so on your live feeds," and then we don't have any It's just an awkward thing, right?
Yeah.
We talk and we have all these.
Some people never talk to anybody. They only talk on live feeds or over instant message or text. So
yeah,
when
they're
they
usually
get in person. They're like, "What is this?"
Yeah, they're usually handicapped and in a wheelchair, and they blow into a thing, right? That shouldn't be normal, dudes. Like,
I know.
Come in, have a conversation. I think because we all know each other from the internet, that we should wear a badge that this is who I am, and we'll just have like an eraser size picture of your avatar, because that's what I see on YouTube every night.
Perfect. The same size.
Oh, it's you.
Yeah, that could work. I don't think people have human interaction anymore,
right?
Especially after COVID,
and it's
getting leave the house,
and it's getting worse, right? So TikTok, short form content, and Instagram trying to compete with TikTok, so they reduce your. I used to do a 10-minute video.
Right?
I used to do a 10-minute video every morning, just a year ago, right? 10 minutes video, which was difficult for me to say what I needed to say in 10 minutes, and then it became 1 minute, and then when you do shorts on YouTube, it's 15 seconds. Like I can't.
But then we can talk for 2 hours and it gets views. So there's something weird. Like
I think it's
super
by
short, super long.
I think it's on purpose. It's by design to destroy society so that you do not have. Because if we're here, we can have the conversation. But if we have the conversation through this, they can manipulate and control. Right? We amplify the smallest percentage of the population who's the most wacko.
Yeah.
Create literally insane. Right, we would have put them in asylums.
Yep.
Instead, we amplify their voice,
that.
and then it's on purpose to make us feel like alone, like we're wrong thought. Yeah,
I made that point on the member meeting thing a while back about Yellowstone. The reason I don't watch anything.
Was that you that said that?
Yeah, but the good guys win.
Yes,
that never happens.
I have repeated that dozens of times.
I was enamored that the good guys kept winning, because when we watch stuff, I can't watch anything anymore because it demoralizes you. You get invested to this character, then they suicide them or they have some terrible outcome, and it's like you feel violated over and over. I'm not watching anything. And then I watch that, and it's like, wait a minute. They're still winning. It's seasons later, and wow. And I know there's gray areas of what winning means, but
I don't know.
The good guys are winning.
Yeah, there's some people who are like, those aren't the good guys. That's how I would want to roll.
Well, yeah, there is right and wrong.
So did you hear that Montana just banned TikTok?
No. The state or?
The state.
Okay.
Into law, done deal kind of shit. Like there's going to be a ton of lawsuits over this.
Okay.
January 1. What they're going to do is...
Is it really that, or is it some cloak and dagger?
No, I think it's real. Tim Pool, I heard Tim Pool talking about it. That's where I heard it this morning.
Okay.
There's going to be massive lawsuits, but what Montana is doing is fining the online stores for the app.
Okay.
So they're not allowed to use it in Montana. You guys have to figure out a way to take this off of phones that are registered in the zip code. Now you'll still be able to use a proxy or whatever VPN type deal. But apparently it's real. They signed it into law like yesterday.
Okay.
Kind of. I was surprised to hear it.
Yeah.
I don't know that TikTok, I think they're all bad, right? I think we're focused on TikTok, and the focus on TikTok is so that we don't focus on Instagram and Facebook doing the exact same thing.
It's incredible at what it does as a consumer. It is like...
I've bought a bunch of shit while sitting on the toilet because of targeted marketing.
I have it on my phone. I started posting to it because of your...
On TikTok?
Yeah, but I don't freaking scroll it. It's too good.
Instagram's worse for me. Well, TikTok, and to get out of TikTok, you have to close it 3 times. And you have to stay in it while your shit's posted to 2 more. Yeah.
Yeah, I spent like a month being addicted to it because the algorithm is ungodly.
What were you looking at?
tool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like it knew my brain.
Yes.
And I never told it anything. It just knows through hours watched or seconds watched on what hashtag. I don't know, but
it's because it's
the
data
best
mining and
algorithm.
everything else. Yeah.
Well, what freaked me out, Rob Hogue gave a lecture at Alumni that it was doing keyboard recordings from your phone. So for a security point of view, not it's spying on me. But just it could get your passwords. So I was like, I can't have this on my phone with customer data. So
what that would tell me is that all the others are doing the same thing too.
Well, they don't have to abide by the same laws. They don't have the regulation for a United States-based company,
right?
But they're probably still doing
like
crap,
you guys can't use it for this, but
we saw them regulate real hard when they're interrogating Zuckerberg.
Try not to